Good morning, all my art-loving friends out there. So we have the next day for Denise Soden's 31 Days of Watercolor Advent Calendar. We are going to open day 11 right now. I am hoping this will give me inspiration. I told you guys yesterday that I might, hang on, let me just flip the camera back up. I told you guys yesterday that I might skip today's prompt also, but I'm not going to because today is painting get together with all my friends. We're going to the park in a different town and I'm going to be painting anyway, so I might as well paint something to do with element, and I don't want to start the otherworldly thing outside because it's going to be more complicated and I want to do that in the studio. So day 11 hopefully will be a fun color inspiration because I'm pretty sure it's a dot card for the word element. Alright, back to this finally. These are hard to open. Oh, that one wasn't too bad. I can't wait to see what it is. I'm covering it up on purpose. Are you ready? Are you ready? Ooh, Da Vinci's cerulean blue hue, which is a PB15 and a PW6. Where's my Da Vinci palette? Oh, I put it away. Hang on. All right, here is my Da Vinci palette. Okay, I do have this one. This is the blue that I used in my garden painting that was so darn pretty that I really, really loved. It's this nice, beautiful light blue that kind of got buried in there, but you can see it in a few places. Awesome. That's a beautiful blue. Okay, let's see what she says. You guys probably already read it already. I have a hard time not thinking of blue skies and clear waters with this color. While I generally prefer the granulation of a traditional cerulean, this hue is both less toxic and non-granulating, which some people prefer. Try mixing it with blues and greens to create a wide array of teals. Fun fact, both my sun and moon signs are water signs for today's World Watercolor Month prompt element. So I'm thinking... Well, that tells me which palette I'm bringing today because I want to use the palette for the dot card that we get for the day. I think I'll take this beautiful bao hung sketchbook too and figure out something to paint with the word element at the park today. I have lots of ideas running around in my head. What I might try to do though, I'm going to leave these colors at home. Oh, I don't want to leave them at home. I need to just redo this palette now so that these can come with me. But then my swatch sheet will be all messed up and I'll have no idea where my colors are because I don't have time this morning to redo a swatch sheet and a palette. Do I? I don't think so. I have like an hour. It takes forever to redo a swatch sheet. Plus I'm afraid there's other Da Vinci paints out there I'm forgetting about. All right, I have all these labeled. Maybe I will try to redo this palette real quick. Yikes, that's gonna be interesting. I started out by painting, you see that on the left, all those swatches, those are the colors I did not have in this palette that I know I own. And then I cut apart my existing swatch sheet. That one's the laminated one that is all of the pans that are in the existing palette right now. Cut them all apart so that I could rearrange all the colors on the desk and get them in the right order, hopefully. But then it becomes quite a trial, which I'll show you here in a second. So now I am rearranging the colors. This is really hard to do actually because I was doing this in this way, but I also didn't know yet what color configuration would fit in the palette itself. I didn't know how many across and how many down, so I was just putting them in an order that kind of made sense at first here, and then I went back to the palette, you'll see in a minute, and go take the pans out of it, pull the metal things off because I wanted to use that bottom tray. Didn't end up working in the end, you'll see that. But it ends up that I have a ton of Da Vinci colors, so I have to really figure out how these are all going to fit in here. And I forgot about these 5. I don't think this is gonna work at all. So I probably sped it up too much, but I even tried to bend that flat part where the original palette pan holder thingies were. You can see here I'm trying to bend it out even more so that 4 pans will fit across, but I can't get 4 pans to fit across and use that base. So now I am just putting all the pans in there, 4 pans across without the base, and just thinking I would create my own base that is wider than the original metal one that first went in there. But turns out I don't have to, and I'll show you more about that here in a minute. Okay, so if I convert these whole pans into half pans, then I can fit these two full pans. I'm wondering if I even have to secure the pans, because let's see if I close this up and shake it around. Because I thought about just getting a little piece of paper in there and attaching them to the piece of paper, but let's see. Yeah, they're not even gonna move, but will they move when I go to use a brush on them? No, because they're so jam-packed in there. Interesting. So I probably don't even have to flatten the bottom of the palette like I always do. These will flop around, but I could secure those. I shook it pretty good. Let's try one more time. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Okay, well, now I just have to figure out the order, but this is the only place these full pans can go. So we have to switch some things around here, which is no big deal. Ta-da. I still like all my yellows together. The next problem is that 4 of the Da Vinci half pans don't fit across this way. They're too thick, so I have to have at least one of these other pans in with it. So that's interesting. Let's see if we get this in some kind of order that makes any sort of sense. I suspect not. I do love the browns there though. I messed everything up. We'll just deal with those rows first. So you can see I spent much more time rearranging again because I just had the colors in there willy-nilly to see if they would fit, and then I had to put them in an actual color order that worked. Plus I had to be aware of those pans not stacking up. I could not stack 4 Da Vinci pans on top of each other. I had to have one of the off-brand pans in each column or they would not fit 4 across. So it was a bit of a process. Okay, I did count wrong, and this raw umber violet that's a mixture of American Journey and Da Vinci, I cannot get it to fit, and since it's a mix with American Journey, I have another American Journey she sent me. I'm thinking I'll do a mixed brands palette of all like my little, what do you call them, like the ones I don't have a home for, because I have like one My Mary Blue paint and so on. So it makes me sad because this color is absolutely gorgeous, but I have the violet iron oxide and it's not the same, obviously, but it's similar-ish, not nearly as pretty as the raw umber violet. I just can't fit it. I wondered. No, they're just too tight. I wonder actually, what if I scooch all this over? I'm trying to fit it, but if I do, it's not going to make any sense in this palette, but like where it is. And I could still make these guys half pans if I needed to. Well, that works. It just puts that raw umber violet in a strange location. Although I could scooch this, a couple of these down probably. I'm thinking. Give me some time to think. Well, I thought I had this all figured out. I have 10 minutes until I have to walk out the door, and I don't even have my bag packed for my brushes and my water and all of that. But if we just scoot all this down, now we're in the same problem where we can't have 4 of these together. Violet iron oxide. This is the Indian red. Indian red's kind of a weird one. We could boot it down. It's a skinny pan in there and my raw umber violet in there. Now I have to scoot all these down again. I have to leave some placeholders in here because I have some paint that's not in this palette yet. That's why. Okay, so in the 10 minutes I have, I need to give myself a quick map of where these colors are. So I took some time and made a quick little swatch sheet. Made a few mistakes, but it wasn't a big deal. This is just to have today at the park. I'll redo it properly later. The idea was when I got home, but that didn't happen. Spoiler alert. But at least this let me know where my colors were when I was at the park today, so it worked really well. Oh, I made a mess on my sketchbook. Good thing it was closed, huh? Alright, going to cut this out. This gives me a general idea of what my colors are for today's painting session at the park. And I got to boogie my little butt out of here. Just like so. It means I'm going to the park without these colors because I have to re-pour these into half pans. And then I'll put these in the miscellaneous palette too. That'll be good. Okay, off to the park. And then when I got home from the park, I realized you guys probably want to see what the cerulean blue hue paint looks like. So I grabbed my Princeton Aqua Elite brush and just swatched that out on the paper that she put it on. I'm pretty sure she put these swatches on nice cotton paper because it definitely seems like it. She probably said that in her Etsy description when I bought the product, but I don't recall. But there it is, the cerulean blue hue. It's a PB15 and a PW6, and I think it's beautiful. Okay, I'm back from the park. The palette worked really well, but I did miss a couple of the colors that I didn't get put back in there. Here is my painting for Element, and I'll explain that in a minute with the overhead view so you can see that and maybe need to change a few things. But what we need to do is label our painting, and then this is the exciting part, finish this palette. Get the paint pans poured for these full pans that I had to take out in place of the half pans, and get these dot cards from the Watercolor Advent Calendar put onto the half pans. Lots of fun stuff actually, so let's do it. All right, I think this works for Element okay. It is painted while I was out in the elements. There were elementary school children playing on the playground in the elements, and there was air all around me, which is an element. So this is my painting for, oh, I did that wrong. That's because I'm talking and writing at the same time. So we will just cross that out and start again. Luckily it's just a sketchbook. Still bugs me. So this is Rolled Watercolor Month. Day, I already forgot the day. 11, Element. I can't wait to see what other people do. If other people paint like air, earth, fire. Wait, what are all the 4 elements? Water, fire, air. I don't know. Don't have to ask the day since it's day 11. We know that. Cool. So this is painting in the park. So that was a beautiful park, by the way. They had a lot of big trees. So there was a lot of shade, a lot of fun. It was great. So my painting turned out okay for being out and about. Out and about. Anyway, you can see I kept some of my tape so I can reuse it over on this side eventually. Maybe tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow should not be in this sketchbook, so much for that. All right, now we have to finish this palette. That's gonna be very interesting. Lots of paint pouring going on, but I used a ton of Denise's green and a little bit of the Joyce's Mother green in that painting I did, and I used a lot of this yellow, a little bit of that yellow. I used buff titanium. I used the green gold today. I used the Indian red because that playground had Indian red on it. This brick looking stuff was Indian red. I got to use my phthalo green. The slide at the park was purple. I made mine yellow because I wanted it yellow. Mixed the raw sienna and buff titanium for this dirt color and had fun. All right, enough talking. Let's finish this palette already. So I started out, I had pre-wet the backs of the Denise's green dot card and the cerulean blue hue dot card. That's hard to say sometimes. So they peeled right off, and then I got distracted by using up any extra paint that was on the dot cards by playing with the paint because I really want to see the colors and it's beautiful. And it's fun to play with watercolor paint. So you can see peeling that one off. By wetting the back of that dot card, they just come off so seamlessly. And I just stick them on the other half pans with a little bit of water and then continue playing with the rest of the dot card because, you know, I have nothing better to do. Haha. All right, all the paint is poured into all those empty pans. I am tired. What time is it? Oh geez, it's only 3:00 p.m. But I'm exhausted, you guys. So the swatch sheet for this needs to wait for another day. I'd like all the wet paint in there to dry before I do it. And I couldn't put these pans down. You can see, maybe you can see, I don't know if you can see. I have this pan up on its side and this pan up on its side because I couldn't squish them in with the wet paint that was all around. So I'm waiting for the pans to dry before those get squished in appropriately. And then I do have my score tape here for a couple of the loose ones that I need to secure to the bottom. So there's really probably just these 3, and I thought there's maybe one loose area in the middle, like right here maybe, I think, that I need to tape down, and that's it. So taping down, swatch sheet, that's all that has to happen for this, but I'm just gonna fold that over like that for now so the cats will stay out of it. And I am calling that a wrap for World Watercolor Month, Day 11 Element. All right, I hope you enjoyed opening the advent calendar with me and coming along on my journey today. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now. So, day 11, I just hit myself in the face with that.